Welcome to
Okay.
the Unheard Cries of a Mother, the podcast where we dive into the raw, unfiltered stories of motherhood, the joys, the struggles, the sacrifices, and the triumphs. Here, we amplify voices that too often go unheard, shining a light on the incredible strength, resilience, and love of mothers around the world. I'm your host, Sabrina Ben Selmi, and I invite you to join in on this sorry, I invite you to join in on this to uncover stories behind the smiles, share lessons learned, and create a community that uplifts, supports, and inspires. Let's honor the unheard cries and celebrate the silent victories of motherhood. You know, the bleepers, they're staying in. I don't edit these out because it's not about showing up perfect. Like one of the things about mums, we often talk about, I want it to be a certain way before I do it. My motto is
Yes,
get it
and
done.
that's just a story that we've got going on in our minds.
Exactly. And when we have kids, our children humble us. Whatever we put in place doesn't always turn out like that. So for this platform, it's really about get it done, then get it right, because that's motherhood. We find it along the way.
Mhm.
But less about me and more about our special guest today. Amanda, thank you so much for joining. And I can't wait to really hear you share your golden nuggets with us.
Thank you, Sabrina. It's a delight to be on your podcast, and my heart is with yours. We just want to help moms, wherever they are, whatever the stage they're at, to know that they can do it and they've got everything they need inside themselves.
Oh, wow. I think that's all, guys. We've got it all in a nutshell. Do I need to say anything else? I love that. That's beautiful. I didn't know you were so philosophical. I love that. It's really beautiful. So, Amanda, I'm going to jump straight in with my first question.
Okay.
That is, how can you share a pivotal moment in your motherhood journey that shaped who you are today?
Yes.
Yeah,
And
like let's
it's
pick one.
and it's not pretty. I was diagnosed with postnatal depression, probably 2 years after Alessandro was born, and I think it had actually been since he was born because there was just no connection. And as a young girl, I just wanted to be a mother. That was my dream. And I just thought I was going to be Mother Earth. And I can remember this baby being born and thinking, yeah, it's a baby. What's everybody getting excited about? And I just didn't have the connection. And when I got over that, and it took my husband's support to realize I can still make a difference, even though at that stage he was going on for 4 years old, and I had the guilt of I've messed him up. I wasn't what he was meant to be, didn't give him what he was meant to have. And there was a lot of shame, there was a lot of disappointment, and that I was carrying those emotions like heavy baggage. And I have had to do a lot of work on myself because it was stemming from my childhood and that I'm not good enough to let that go and just to realize in this present moment now, it's not the past, it's not the future, it's who we are in this immediate moment that matters and let go of everything else.
No, that is such a profound share. And when I was listening to you, I just went straight back to when I gave birth to my daughter.
Mm.
And I remember just being petrified. Like you when you said my dream was to become a mum, I was like, yes, me too. Like I wanted three
Yes.
sons, three
I
daughters.
wanted six.
That was my vision. And I was like, I want the picket fence, I want the dog, I want the hat. Like that was, I don't know, maybe it was Disney movies. I don't know what it is, but that was my vision. So I wanted nothing more to become than to become a mother. And as
Mm.
you were sharing your story and that guilt that settles in, I
Yes.
remember holding my daughter, everyone in the room was happy, and I was petrified.
Yeah.
It's real. I
That's
don't want to
it,
miss
because
it out.
we've created a fairy tale
Yes.
princess image of how it's going to be. And then it was with me because I was doing an actual birth and he crowned twice and went back in. Can you believe? And they eventually said, you're going to be wheeled up to the labour ward. And I had this awful image of me naked on all fours being wheeled through the hospital. And I realised when they say childbirth is natural, I disagree because our mind because I was fearing the responsibility, and I just suddenly thought, I can't be a mum. I'm not good enough. And that was stopping the birth happening.
That is so profound. That is interesting what you've just said.
Mm.
I had the in and out. My daughter, unfortunately, in the end, she had a cone head because of all that drama I was doing. And I think I never really thought of that actually, but I did grow up with a lot of insecurities. And I think from hearing what you've said,
Mhm.
I didn't think I was good enough to be a mum. I didn't, I've
Yeah.
never really thought of it like that before. But I was
Mm.
absolutely petrified, thinking this young lady's got me. I hope I don't mess this up. And
Exactly.
I was just like I was happy, as happiest day of my life. Because when I tell the story, she's like, "Okay, mum, what about the rest of the story?" I said, "No, I'm sorry." But I was, because I loved her so much. I just didn't want to do anything wrong.
Yeah, they're
And
precious.
totally side with it. And bless your husband. I think it's so important that we have family around. My mum was there for all five of my children as well. So she helped us all. She was like dragging up dad, like, "Come on, get up." And he's like, "I'm going to pass out." It's like, "Come on, can't do that now." She doesn't need to
Oh,
pass
I
out.
love
So,
that.
she was there for all five of the births. But we do need someone to just check in on us and look at us and say, "Well, actually, something doesn't look right. He's not eating."
Exactly. And I knew something wasn't right, but they were saying you're fine. And unfortunately, my parents were much older and my mum couldn't do as much. And they were far away. So to have a community around you that can support and understand you, even if it's just because I know I actually went back to work when he was 16 weeks old, and I was missing the adult communication. I think that was because I was just thinking, well, I've changed the nappy, I've fed him, played the games, done the singing from my teacher's point of view. And then I was just thinking, because the connection wasn't there, I can't give anything more. And that was driving me to go back to work. I mean, I wish with who I am now, I mean, he's 17 years old now, I wish I could go back and do it again because I've grown since then. But that's what mother is. It is a beautiful growth journey.
Yeah. It is a beautiful growth journey, and all the lessons saturates all aspects of our lives. Your story is so similar to mine, because I went back to work, and I remember so I was working. I don't remember how old she was, but she stayed with my mum when I went back to work. And I know she went private school, nursery quite early on as well.
Yes.
And I did the same thing with my second born. And I never forget me just feeling crippled with the fact that I've dreamed to be a mum.
Hmm.
I don't feel like I craved, because I think it's important. I love what you said about the adult connection. I think a lot of mums will be able to relate to that. Is that if you're with children all the time, you do need to be stimulated by an adult. It's,
Totally.
don't feel guilty about that. It's perfectly natural. As we get poured into, we go back and pour into our babies. But I remember when I had my third child. So I had Trayshawn while I was at uni,
Hmm.
and I think I gave birth on the Friday, went back on the Monday, because the university was like, "Oh, do you want to leave?" I was like, "No, like, I'm finishing this degree. Like, I don't want to pause." You've just brought all these memories back. Thank you, Amanda. And I remember when I had my third, I said, "Absolutely not. There's no way." And I went self-employed. So
Yes.
everything was on the phone. "Oh, they're taking their first step. They're doing this and they're doing that." And
Yes.
I was crippled with grief and pain that I couldn't be there. And that never sat well with me, not at all. But then when I was
No.
home, I couldn't just like sit at home. I thought, I need to be stimulated as well. So it's a bit of a balance. There's a nice natural dance with life. I love what you shared. Thank you for that. Very
Oh, you're
wholesome
welcome.
response. Really nice. So my next question is, what's one part of your story that you feel has gone unheard or unacknowledged?
I think in the last 6 years, I've done a lot of inner growth, and I have been able to let go of the story that I was so attached to, that I was worthless, not good enough. I was always striving to do more and more, busy person, give me more, because I was looking for the validation of others. And actually, in the last year, I don't need the validation of others anymore. And that is just mind blowing to me because I'm now, what am I, 57? I had to remember then. So for 56 years, I was like, oh, please see me, please see me, please see me. And then when I'm seen, no, don't look at me, don't look at me, don't look at me. So it was madness going on in my head, mutiny all the time. So it's actually understanding that whoever you are, whatever your gifts are that you were born with innately, you've got it all in you. But you see, society tells us we've got to get a job, we've got to get a degree, we've got to get married, and then we'll be happy. And I used to say to people, well, why can't I just be happy now? And
Mm,
my strength is, as people say to me, I wear my heart on my sleeve. And I hated that about me because I was too sensitive and I can walk into a room and I just pick up the energies. But what I realized I was doing was taking the energies home with me with the fixed it attitude. And I've dropped the fix it because people are fine just as they are. I was only fixing it to try and heal something inside me. And now people can be much freer around me because I'm letting go of judgment. And the only one that has to do the work is myself, for my inner child and my inner rebel, my teenage self.
Amanda, we are only two questions each in, and I can't even speak. Like I'm not saying wrong words. I'm really impressed by the inner work you've done, how much you've worked on yourself, how self-aware you are.
Mm.
Like,
And I think that's actually, somebody said just about Alessandro, my son, he's self-aware and he has seen me. I've gone through anxiety where for 5 months I was shaking, literally like I had Parkinson's, couldn't eat or anything. And I was feeling so guilty for that. But I realized doing this inner work, all that stuff that I'd pushed down had to come up and out, and it was ready. And I was ready to handle it. And again felt guilty. Oh my God, he just will think this is what he's going to be like because he has that sensitivity. But actually, his self-awareness is amazing. And that's a gift. And we've got to celebrate that. So I am not going to apologize for being a sensitive soul that can connect with people and wear my heart on my sleeve.
but that's your gifting. I love the way you said it though. Like everyone see me, they don't see me. I think that is brilliant. That is such an incredible way to describe it because I think at some level I can really relate that when I was young, I would serve. And it wasn't so much, I didn't realize it was like see me. It's just that I was just invisible to people growing up. So
Mm,
it was just like all I knew was to serve. Um,
yes.
and then it was like, okay, come and do it outside. She's like, no, 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 I don't want to do it outside. No, hide me away. So it was like the way you said that, like, see me. No, no, no. That's so perfect. It's like,
Because every young child wants to be seen and heard.
yeah.
And
And
this is the trouble now, in my opinion, is that we're not giving them, even if it's just 10 minutes of quality time, so
yeah,
they are seen and you can see where they're at that moment, because we're too busy in our heads.
yeah,
We don't live in reality, we live in our minds.
absolutely. And I love what you said, just being present, because sometimes the negative connotation of wanting to be seen, it's seen as a bad thing. It's a natural
Hmm.
human need to
Totally.
be loved, to be heard, to be held. These are just natural. So we shouldn't feel.
Absolutely. Fundamental.
Yeah, that's brilliant. I love the way you said that. Absolutely amazing. So my next question is, how has motherhood challenged your sense of identity?
I didn't like it. I'm going to be really honest. After saying, I want to be a mom. And then I was just known as Alessandra's mum. And I went, hello, I'm Amanda. And because this is what you don't realize. Yes, you've got this idea, you want a baby and you want the family. But the truth is, you have to devote so much of your time to that child, especially while they're young, because they are helpless without you. And so anything you need has to be set aside. Or if it's not, resentment builds inside. Um, and that's just an emotion which you need to work through. But it's actually, I think you've got to embrace that motherhood is not a 5 minute wonder. It's not just like, oh, I'm having a party and then wear the dress and then I can put it back in the wardrobe. It's for the rest of your life until you die. And there are different stages of it.
Absolutely.
Um, but I really struggled who is my identity, but also on the other side, because I was also a primary teacher, who am I if I'm not the teacher? Because outside of the house, I was Mrs. Hill and I was extraordinary in the classroom. And then when I came home, that wasn't marrying at home. So it's literally you do wear different hats and you've got to remember to take off each hat. But the biggest lesson I have learnt, and I think this will go for all ladies out there, we were brought up to be independent ladies taking care of ourselves. But the truth is, we've forgotten our biology and we are women. We're feminine and we've been built to nurture. And I used to say, I'm a man, duh. I said, I should have been born a man because I was very in your face with that masculine energy. And I'm only learning now in the last year and a half how to relax and flow with the feminine energy rather than to take over because that takeover, that yeah, I need to be seen and I do it and don't you tell me I'm wrong and I'm right. It's just from that fear of the inner child within you. And if we can just relax and our parents did the best they could for us, and we've got a lot of matriarchal role types out there, but it shouldn't be that hard. And I think we've made it harder for ourselves rather than just relax. So, yeah, this is who I am and accept the masculine, let him lead because we've become such leaders as women. Because, in the 70s, women libs came. And now I do believe we've swung so far off the other side. Our men don't know who they are. And we need to get back to the happy balance. And men are men, they're meant to be protectors, hunters, and gatherers. And we are nurturers, we are the educators, we are the love, we are the security.
That is such a beautiful response in so many different degrees. One of the things I speak to mums about very often is what you started off with regards to you become Tony's mum. And even Tony's friend's mum is like, Tony's mum.
Hello.
And he's like, right now, this car's like, what's her name? I don't know, just Sam's mum. And he's invisible. And I love what you said. Resentment can slowly kick in because we do have, every mother has their dreams before they became a mother. They have
Of
their dreams,
course.
aspirations, their hobbies, their, whatever they've got in place. But the reality is it slowly does fade away if we're not mindful of creating some balance. And I think it's very healthy to give ourselves the permission to be there. And it's funny, even like there's some aspects that you talked about the masculine side. I really side with you because there's a lot of studies that I've read about women become more relaxed in their femininity when the
Yes,
environment allows them to. Because if the
totally.
environment's away from the pride, those lionesses need to stand up and defend their pride. And the reality is, a lot of women are in survival mode for a long time.
Yes,
Our cortisol levels are too high. We're always just like on edge because we haven't had that time to just relax and go, okay, there's no danger. Number one would be brilliant. But if there is, I don't have to deal with it. If there's a threat,
exactly.
and so many women live in a constant state of anxiety because they're not in an environment where they can just relax and be their feminine.
Yeah. We've learned how to survive in fight and flight. And I realized all my life I've been in that state. And our nervous system, we can take control of
Yeah,
it. Believe me, I've been
yeah.
through it. Um, we are built for social interaction.
Yeah.
And yet we forget this and we just think, what do they say? Women can multitask. Actually, that's just a myth. I could multitask, but I never did anything properly, to my husband's jargon. And the truth is, focus and attention and time is our greatest asset. And we're not giving the thing in front of us, whether it's our child, whether it's something to help them or for ourselves, we're not giving it the full attention because we're still running a list in our head, got to do, got to do, got to do. And that is anxious urgency.
Yes, that's a really good description of it. Anxious urgency. A
Mm.
lot of mum will actually feel that really relates to a lot of parts of my
Yes,
motherhood journey. And what I do love is that you talked about different phases because the phase one of raising a baby is not the same as
oh
teenage
no,
halfway through. There are different phases of that, and at each phase, we need different levels of support and awareness of ourselves.
totally. Because I thought, with the sleepless nights, the fees,
Oh
etc.
gosh, yeah, what was sleep? What's that?
But I thought the baby thing was the hardest. It has
Mm,
to be the hardest. And then you get to the next stage and the next stage. Now, I'm going to be honest with you, ladies and gentlemen, and listening. Teenagehood is the hardest because, yes, the hormones are flying, but then they have an opinion because you've taught them this, that they can stand up for themselves. And I've had to learn for the last 4 years that I will always be wrong, and it's okay. And Alessandra is always right, and that's okay. And apparently we get them back when they turn 25. That's the science.
You know what's really beautiful? I cannot reflect a time where I was warned prior to motherhood. I did feel, I shared a same sentiment. I look at when they were babies and I thought it was the hardest. And as that
Yeah,
evolved, I was like, that was the most golden time. And
yeah,
every phase has its beautiful
absolutely.
and I guess the way I'm saying it is not like, you know, I don't want to give teenagers this bad rep because I think they're gorgeous. Like I think
Oh,
one of
yeah,
the
and
things
you can
I
have such conversations with them.
exactly, and I remember being a teenager, everything was just amplified. I don't know what you were like, but
Yes.
I had a crush every moment. It's like, oh my god, he looked at me and it was amplified. Like, I'm in love, I'm gonna be in love forever. Everything was amplified. And
You
when I
don't understand. Like my son, I don't know where he gets this from, but his hair. What's happened with
oh
young
yeah, it's all
boys
about
and hair? He won't even go out to the shops if his hair's not right. And then a bit earlier, I said, "Could you go to the shops with me?" "No, I can't because I'm in my school trousers. I have to get changed and people might see me." I went, "Hello? People aren't looking at you, but they become so self-conscious because in
it.
their head, the world is them.
It's like the Garden of Eden when they've like eaten
Yes,
the forbidden
I
fruit.
love that.
And I love it because like they go up, you know, I don't know if you've seen Kevin and Perry. It really is that scenario. They go up at 13 after the birthday and they come down and it's like, oh, like, what happened? It's like, oh, I don't want to talk to you. It's like, oh, I love you, mum. I'm like, whoa, wait a minute, what's going on? And they are so gorgeous because there's so much sensitivity, but the awareness in terms of how
Mm.
they look. And I'm really, before it used to be very much like the girls take hours in the shower.
Yes, and I think the boys have taken over, quite frankly.
My sons are the same. I'm like, what are they doing? I'm looking at them. They're like, the hair's over here. And I'm just going, no, it hasn't moved. Like, what's going on?
No,
I
I
won't tell
know.
them. I won't tell them. I'm like, okay, yeah, just let them have their piece. That it's all about the hair, nothing else.
Yeah,
It's just about the
it's
hair.
madness.
So it's interesting. Teenage years, that's when everything that has been suppressed bubbles up.
Yes,
And it's so important that you actually have that rapport beforehand because as they go,
totally. It's too late to say now, which is why I felt guilty that I hadn't connected, but I had in my own way.
yes, exactly.
And it might not be, because we've got this dreadful habit of, especially as women, comparing ourselves to others.
No, no, no.
And I have a beautiful friend who I met in the teaching profession who she's got a daughter who's 3, coming up to 4 next week. And she's just so easy with her because she's just revels in it. And I actually said to her, I wish you would be my mom.
Oh,
But I say about her daughter Edie, like she's my daughter because I don't have the fear and the worry. So that they came away on holiday with us last year. And
oh,
I just had Edie, who was in, a flamingo water round float around her middle. I said, "You come out to the sea. Come on, girl. We're doing it." She's like, "God, I can't." I said, you can, come on. And by the end of it, she was dancing in the deep sea
oh,
with
bless
me. And
her.
that to me was just gorgeous. And
That's
I
so
wish I'd had those experiences with Alessandra. I probably did looking from the outside in, but in my head, I wasn't present.
mm. But like you said, I love that you gave that permission to moms to say, don't compare yourself because your
Mhm.
level of connectivity will be different for everyone. And even if you've got multiple children, like even if you've had that with the first one, it will just be different. It will come at
It
different.
will be different with the next one, but just because you're
Oh,
brought
yeah.
up in the same family, all children are different.
Yeah, yes, absolutely. I saw this funny quote, I don't know why it's come to mind on social media. It was something about the firstborn is your friend, your kind of your confidant, the lover, the gentle one, the peacemaker, the glue of the
Yes.
siblings. But that second one is like the rebel, break the law.
Yes.
Like if you need to go and get someone and kidnap them, it's like, yeah, you need to take.
Yes. Totally. Because they're going to rebel against who their older sibling is.
Yeah, yeah,
Totally.
absolutely, absolutely. So thank you for sharing that. That's really beautiful. Next question is, can you describe a time when you felt completely unseen and unsupported as a mother?
That was in my first year of motherhood. Obviously because of this postnatal depression, but also I was a late mum. I didn't have Alessandro, I was 40, and I didn't connect with very many people in the NCT classes. And then I went along and there were just all these 17-year-olds, 18-year-olds, because all my friends' children were 20 years old at that stage. And you know, you're labeled as a geriatric mother
Yes,
in
I
the
can't believe they
hospital.
use that
I
term.
know it, and you just think, oh gosh. And I can remember saying to Martin, my husband, this is, you know, don't go back to work. I can't do this on my own. I'll go back to work, you stay home. And he says, no, no, you can make it more cozy. And he just didn't see the pain and the torment I was in. And it went on for a year until literally I broke down. You know, had stopped eating and all the rest of it. And that was the signal, no, something's got to give. Because, you know, they say, oh, you got the baby blues, it'll be after 3 days, your milk will come in, you're fine. And I knew it went deeper than that because I'm sensitive. But then they said, oh, yeah, yeah, but you know what, you're like Amanda, you're a sensitive soul, you make a big drama out of things. And I was a bit of a drama queen. I'm going to hold my hands
You're
up for
allowed
that.
to be when you're a mum.
But yeah, but I've let that side go because I don't need the attention so much anymore. But there just wasn't places that I could go. I remember going to a coffee morning and I thought, oh, wow, really great people. And they turned out to be the au pairs, not the mums. And so I just thought, I just didn't have that link. Because I often see, you know, in coffee shops now, group of moms with their babies. And I just never got that. And they all seemed to be the same age. So probably because I left it later on, and I know more people are nowadays. And that wasn't through choice. It's just that I didn't get pregnant till I got pregnant. So yeah.
I guess, you know, that relates back to isolation. You know, isolation looks different for
Hmm.
everybody. So not having your group is a form of isolation. Like you don't have that kind of network of mums to sit down, relate, you know, exchange tips and
Totally.
ideas. And that's so important.
It's vital to talk out.
Absolutely. And there's this silence that you're in the room with people, but you just feel like, what's
Yes.
going on? Like everything just stands still. So I think what you've shared is so important for mothers that are listening, in that our networks are so important. Having somewhere to go to where you can get some tips, share some tips, but just
And
be.
don't be embarrassed.
Yes,
That's it. Because I had a lot of shame thinking, well, I shouldn't be like this. And this is meant to be the most joyous time in my life. And yet the inner side me didn't feel that. And I just thought, because I can remember when I was pregnant, mum says, it's going to be a boy. And I said, but I wanted a girl. And
oh,
then my mum says, you're having a baby, it'll be healthy, get over yourself.
oh,
Um, and the reason I wanted a girl is because, like the saying says, you have a son till he finds a wife, but you have a daughter for life. And I just wanted that connection and to do the girly things as growing up. And you can't do that. We could start it with a boy, but it's different
I,
altogether. Um, so yeah, but it is just say, look, this is who I am, this is how I'm feeling, because when it came out at school and I put my hand up and said, yeah, I've had postnatal depression, there were two other members of staff, because it wasn't sort of spoken about, because this was 17 years ago.
Mhm.
And two people said, oh my God, we had it, but we never talked about it.
Wow.
And it is important because it happens and it's okay.
That is so important. And I love the fact of what you shared, that a lot of mums will experience that, but because of the shame, they
Mm,
might not necessarily share it. And it's so important that we share these stories. So to give the
totally.
mums permission, or just to have that self-realization that, oh, it's not only me.
Yeah.
As a mum, it's like, oh my God, it's not only me. When we're going through it, it's like, oh my God, it's only me that can't get the baby down. It's only me that can't.
And everybody does, but you see people like to, you know, show the baby off and it's all fine and I'm great and I'm
Oh
great.
gosh, not fun.
No,
A baby will
that's the
humble you.
reality is it's a
Yeah.
tough gig.
And I think that really comes into play as well with this assumption, just because you're a woman, just because you've had a baby, you know what to do. It's a
Yeah.
learning curve.
Rather like Martin when he says you stay at home because you'll make it cozy and comfortable. And I just thought, he's not got an idea of where I'm at.
Yeah. And especially that excruciating pain of, can someone just hear me? Can someone just
Mhm.
listen? Because I'm not okay. I don't know what to do. I need someone to hold my hands. And it takes
Yeah.
a while for us to sit into that. But I love what you're sharing because it's the rawness of motherhood. I actually don't know
Yeah.
what to do. You know, even the
Yeah.
expression, you
It
go,
didn't come with an
no,
instruction
it
manual.
exactly. And you might want to do it with the other one. The other one's like, no, don't do that with me. You need to learn me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm here because one thing I do know is that our children are our greatest lessons in life.
Oh my God, absolutely.
Mm.
Absolutely. I, and like, I mean, I've got a plethora of stories I could share, but one of the things that comes to mind is I was a tomboy when I had Lachey.
Yes,
If you look at some of her baby photos, it's so funny because I dressed her like a little boy. And as soon as she
yes.
got to the age where she could speak and let me know, did she let me have it? She was working, you're buying me, action men, cars. I don't want those. I want dolls. I do not want to dress up in this clothes. I want pink and purple. You need to paint this room.
Oh, brilliant.
And then there were again the lessons that they share because I remember just things like I'm very much like you, my heart on the
Yes.
sleeve, very sensitive. She says, Mum, that doesn't work. No, no, no. You're letting everyone walk all over you. This needs to stop. I didn't come all this way for this. And she was only young at the time. And I was looking at this
But it's the wise head on young shoulders, and you think, where'd you get that from?
and I'm looking at this girl and she says, You're strong. And I'm like, Mummy, don't feel strong right now. She's like, You better get strong because I'm not doing
I'm here to test you, and I wouldn't
it.
be here if you couldn't handle it.
Absolutely. So the blessing, the reality is they will test us. I love that you said that because being a mum isn't pretty all the time. They're not going to stay clean all the time.
No.
Quiet. And don't justify that, oh, you always keep them happy. So that's you're a good mum. They're going to cry sometimes. You're going to have,
It's important. No, I'm sorry. This is one
yeah,
pet peeve I
okay.
have. Sorry, I got pet peeve as mothers and as teachers, because I've been both. It's okay for our children to be disappointed.
Yeah,
Please say that out. It is okay for them to be disappointed and not win and not get what they want, because if we're giving them everything, they become entitled. And I can see how society has changed. This is happening. And then they go out to the real world or university and they're all failing because they haven't got the emotional resilience because we have, hand fed them the
yeah,
whole time.
absolutely. I'm so glad you said that twice. I really am glad you said it because I think that's such a sense of relief. I remember in my own motherhood journey speaking to other mums about that. You don't have to keep them pleased all the time. There's
No.
come a time you're going to have to say no, and they need to learn that. And that's character development.
It is,
The world
because in the
gets
workplace, they're going to be places they don't want to work and they're going to come up against somebody. And if they don't know how to handle it and themselves and regulate themselves to respond rather than react in a pattern, it's going to go
Exactly. And that's
badly.
a massive reality check for someone to learn when they're older. And I think it's worse. Let them learn when they're younger because if they
Yes. And
learn
then
that
it just
at
comes, oh,
30,
next.
it's
Yeah.
exactly. But if you learn that at 30 for the first time, you're not
Oh, it can floor you.
exactly that. So I'm really glad you highlighted that. Your face made me laugh. You're like, no, that's it. So my next question is, what has been the most rewarding aspect of motherhood?
Oh, Alessandro, he's the best thing I've done. Um, as I say, he's a gift from God and he came through me for a reason, and I'm only his guide, so I don't own him. But, from he came out with a full head of hair, totally clean. And then, I can remember as a 2 or 3 year old, we were at the playground. He wasn't on the thing, he was underneath them watching how they were working. And I'm thinking, why isn't he talking to friends? You have these worries. But then he became quite gifted with reading and writing. And now I have friends who speak to him and they say he's not a typical teenager. He can hold a conversation. And I don't think that's my doing. It's just what he's brought for himself. He's got this natural intelligence with the sensitivity. And I'm beyond proud. It's just, I'm just totally in love with him.
Oh, I love that. That's so beautiful. I
Yeah.
hope Alexander gets to hear this from his mummy. Play this clip for him. I love that. That is absolutely beautiful. And that description is true, like from mother, just in love with the baby. It's just
Yeah.
like you came through me. That's just, yeah, it's beautiful. Absolutely gorgeous. My next question is, what advice would you give to your younger self about before becoming a mom? Speak with your face, Amanda.
Be careful what you wish for. Because I can remember being, 17, 18 at school, they're saying, what do you want for your future? I said, oh, I want to be engaged when I'm 24 and have 6 children. And of course, that doesn't happen. What I would say to myself is, because it starts with us as individuals, Amanda, you're beautiful inside and out. Don't listen to those around you. Trust yourself. Know yourself, because you can do anything you set your mind to. And motherhood will come with its challenges, and you don't know what shape or size they'll come, but you can handle it. And if it's rocky and it goes wrong, which that has gone through my motherhood journey, but I have become resilient and I've picked myself up time and time and time again. And that's why, when they say wish you could take, the wisdom we have, as Michelle Obama said, don't talk to me unless you're over 55 with the experience, and saying you're 20 and you know it all. But you can't put that wisdom, because everything I've gone through has made me who I am. But I know I was always this person as a child, but that wasn't seen, or it wasn't in that society respected or loved and nurtured.
I love the fact that you chose to speak into Amanda just to say who she is and what she's capable of, and and how loved she is. That is such a beautiful message to your younger self.
Because we forget it. We're so obsessed with our children, but every mother has their own wounded inner child with them. And until we can make peace and love her, no matter what our own mothers did with us, when you can heal that and hold her in your arms, then you are in a safe space to be the beautiful, nurturing mother for your child.
That's beautiful. That you just shared something so beautiful. That is such a gift. Like mothers listening to this or viewing this, I really want you to take a moment to pause and reflect on that, because that really landed for me. And I'm thinking about the woman who I used to be when I entered motherhood, how valuable these words are. And the minute we choose to do that, everything changes. Like,
Yes.
such a gift, Amanda. Absolutely beautiful. It was yummy.
Thank you.
Really delicious. It's delicious. Oh gosh, wow, you're making this hard for me.
No, this is a joy. I'm loving this.
I just want to sit with that. Just you got to speak. That's so lovely. You got so much nuggets there. It's really beautiful, and I love the fact that you're sharing from a place of authenticity, because I can feel it, and you're really giving some kind of markers of what you've picked up on your personal journey, and you've to now communicate them back as powerful lessons. So thank you.
Because we're so attached to the narrative. Because I was a very good girl. I did what my mother told me.
Yeah.
So we're so attached. If our mother said, oh, you're not good enough, or this isn't good enough, that's what we've become.
Very
Because
true.
as children, you become your environment and the people around you. But no, you were born with precious gifts. And as adults, we now can let go of that inner child and say, no, this is who I choose to become. This is my decision today. And I'm letting go of all those narratives, because they didn't serve me and they won't serve anybody else.
That is really wholesome, because once we give ourselves that level of permission, self-actualization, to be present, because some of us are not fully present in our existence.
No.
Some mums, it's in their 30s they start introducing themselves into their life, or even later down the line, because we're very much taught to be everything to everyone.
Yes.
Wait for someone else to validate that.
No, your own cup has to be full, and then you can give love from the overflow.
That is it. That is it. So thank you for sharing that. That is absolutely beautiful. My next question is, how do you balance the emotional weight of being a mother whilst pursuing your own dreams and aspirations?
Whew. Um, well, I was lucky in the fact that teaching gave me the holidays, etc. And I'm very much love children, but in 2020 I created the Mood Munchers, and I want to get that out to all parents or families or schools. But Alessandro was then starting his GCSEs, which he needed me present with it. So what I did was did a little bit on the side, but then devoted, because at the end of the day, and I learned this lesson from how I feel I wasn't present in his early childhood. He'll be gone in a few years. And if I don't give him this time now, I can't make that back. But this one of my dreams, I've got the till the day I die. I'm not going to be held back by somebody says, oh, you're too old or anything else. We have a decision every day, what state we show up. We are born innately happy, and we just have forgotten it. So just get out of bed. When your mind says, no, want another 10 minutes under the duvet, go, no, because it's going to be a sensational day and I'm going to make a difference.
Good for you, Amanda. Really good for you. And it's so true. Like those moments that we can go to work or work on something, but we're never going to get that time back. That time with our
No,
children is sacred. And
it goes so quick.
it goes, oh, tell me about it. I'm just, yeah, I'm like, what happened? Like, you're a marker for the last 20 years of my life. Like, where's that gone? I don't
Yeah.
blink of an eye. So, no, absolutely. And I agree with you. I think it's really important to kind of just be mindful of what you can have a chance to go back and start.
Yes.
This is what
Because, and you can start a
you
dream at any age. And actually, the dream you might have had when you were younger will evolve and have changed as you grow.
Absolutely, absolutely. Same dream, different shift in perspective, and it can become
Totally.
more expansive. Really, really beautiful. Next question is, can you share a lesson that you've learned from your own mother or a mother figure that helped shape how you parent today?
This is going to sound negative.
It's just your experience. There's nothing to compare it to.
So if I'm looking at my mom, and she's passed now 8 years ago, and I still miss her because I used to phone her every day,
Oh,
and she was a big part of my life, more so mom and dad than actually Alessandra and Martin for a while. Um, and my mummy, she worked, she brought up 4 kids. Dad was always out at work. So I didn't see the point of men growing up first, because I just didn't see, well, he just comes in, you've cooked for him, you're working anyway. So I disrespected the masculine a lot from that, because I learned that unconsciously from mom, because I do it. Yet she adored him, and I know deep down that he was her foundation. But the constant go, 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 and never sitting still. I mean, literally, she could not sit on a seat without knitting or doing something. And I suppose there was that anxious urgency that I inherited, that fight or flight. And the lesson I learned is I love my mom and my dad. And I'm not being disloyal if I hand back the library books that she gave me. This is how you do it. I can choose. I respect myself enough and I love myself enough to do it my way. It might not look pretty. It might not look easy, and sometimes it's not easy. But if you have a good support network around you, and I have got a rock in my husband, because many men would have left me 10 times over by now. But we've been together 18 years now, and we're growing together. And you just never know, because life will throw things at you, and you've just got to be ready to be balanced in yourself, grounded in yourself, that you can respond with awareness rather than reacting from those old fight and flight patterns or immobilization.
Absolutely. And I love the fact that you went back to childhood. The images that we see cause us to create these
Totally.
and
They were our role models.
exactly. And it's like, absolutely not. I'm not doing that. Or yeah, this is great for me. But it's really important. Again, what I love about you is that you evaluate yourself. You get to know yourself enough to go what's for you and what's not for you, and you release what no longer
Exactly.
serves you. And I think that's so important in our motherhood journeys. It's really knowing who we are and letting
Mm.
go of that backpack we've been carrying around that's full of bricks. It's heavy as anything.
Yes.
You just need to let it go sometimes.
Because our parents, my parents' generation, were in survival mode, and it was to get a roof and food on the table. That
Yes.
was it.
Yes.
The love and the support, they hadn't got that message. And we're so lucky to be alive in this generation where we have all that. But it's also, and this is so important, to forgive your parents, love them for who they were, because you wouldn't be here now without them. And you can forgive them because you must remember that we are all, my belief is that adults, that we are wounded childs masquerading as adults. And until you do the self-awareness and decide, no, it's time for me to take responsibility for myself, stop blaming others, forgive yourself for how you have been, and forgive everybody else, then you can stand up and say, right, let's go for it.
That's so, so true. Healing our inner child is so important for men and women. And
Totally.
oh,
Men particularly, sorry. But after adolescence, that film,
oh
that
God,
was
God,
so to
yeah,
me,
yeah,
because the child wasn't seen when he was 7 years old at the football pitch and the father couldn't express himself. So men, women, tell your men it's okay to have emotions.
yes, yeah. And other men tell other men as well. And I think it's I hear a lot of men being shamed for having emotions, and it's
I applaud them.
yeah, exactly that. And it's for other men to let other men know that
Yes,
it's okay to show up and have feelings, because being numb creates a lot of disasters in the world and in them.
totally.
But I really love what you're saying, because it's so important that we heal the inner child, but the forgiveness of our parents. I think listeners really sit with what Amanda's diving into. The reason I'm kind of just recapping on here, because I think this is actually really important.
Hmm.
Sometimes we have had traumatic experiences. Sometimes we've had confusing experiences. We don't even know if it's
Yes,
wrong or not. We're just trying to work our way through this tapestry of life. But there's something so sacred in forgiving our parents and realizing that they did the best with what they understood.
totally.
And
With
if
what they knew at the time.
exactly, and not all parents have shared with you some of these things. So sometimes
No,
you're oblivious to what they've gone through or what they've experienced. And don't get me wrong, I know there's some really adverse experience that stem around like abuse, all kinds of things. But it's really important for yourself to be able to go through the process, if not on your own, with a coach, therapist, just go through that process of forgiveness. I think it's a game changer.
it is.
Really,
Because if you don't, what you carry, and I did for years, a resentment
yes.
inside.
And it starts to eat away at you. I really
Totally.
believe in that essence of dis-ease. When we have those things in us, it will manifest. And I'm very mindful to have these conversations with
Hmm.
parents, because we are now parenting our children. We know it's not easy. We might
Yes.
have done the same things our parents did, but to some extent, I'm sure your child's come up to you and said, "Actually, you got it wrong," and like they were really
Yes,
mortified. And I'm like, I thought I had the best intentions with all the
that's it. If you do everything with love in your heart, serve with love,
yes, yeah.
and then everything else will follow
Exactly.
beautifully.
Exactly. So thank you so much for bringing that up, Amanda. I think that's so important. My next question is, how do you define success as a mother?
This is another one of my bugbears. I do not think success is academic. I've said it and I'm a teacher. I think the education system in the UK is behind the times when we can get all the answers that they need in exam questions at the touch of a button with Google. what we need to be doing with children to celebrate who they are and the successes they are themselves. And to do that, you need to not put them in a thing and you'll do it my way. You get to know them, you develop the connection, you develop finding out what they like to do, and you home in on that. We need to teach them emotional resilience. We need to teach them, quite frankly, with what are they called? Mobiles, how to communicate with each other, because I know the teenagers now are dumping each other by text. Even in the playground, they're communicating, they're next to each other, and they don't know how to actually form words. So a successful mother, from me, from the early years point of view, is a mother that has a child at the age of 3 who can talk, who is potty trained and can wear normal pants, who has the gross motor skills, some fine motor skills, and that's a success. And everything, if you see the child they are and not the child that you wanted them to be, or the child you wanted yourself to be, but who they are, which is letting go of a lot of expectations that have been ingrained in us deeply, deeply from our own parents, from our own society, from our own education system. If we can throw that out and just say, wow, they've been born, they're alive, they're with me, that's love and that's success.
That is so, so beautiful what you said. I love the essence of getting to know them, building that relationship with them, seeing who they are rather than telling them who they are. I think it's so important what you said about academia. There's this fine line between a child that works hard and produces really good results versus a child feels that they have to earn the love, and it's very much transactional based on the results.
Yes.
And there's a mismatch where they grow up thinking that everything's transactional, where they have to perform for the love, they have to be perform for the acceptance. So I love that, like, just cherish them for who they are. So the minute a child knows that you love them for who they are, they will
Oh,
reveal
they will excel in
all
ways
of
that will
yeah,
blow your mind.
all of it, all of it. I remember when one of my children, Yasmin, I think it was, she came home crying for SATs, and I've never been a mother that. Don't get me wrong. I definitely think education is important, but not at the cost of mental health for a child.
No,
That there's a
and this is what's
children's hair
happening.
falling out, a suicide attempt. There's so many things that goes on. And I remember she came home and she was crying, and she just kept on crying and crying, and she said, "Will you still love me if I don't pass my SAT?" I was shocked because we've never spoken like that at home. I was like,
Yeah.
"So where'd you get that from?" She said, "We had an assembly and they were telling us all these,"
And that's what she took away from
and she
it.
was just so petrified. Right. And I think this might have been a morning or afternoon assembly, but it was hours she would have been with her
Yes,
kid.
brewing.
When I see my mum, will she still love me if I don't
Yeah,
pass? And I couldn't
that's heartbreaking.
believe I was broken. That is exactly the right description.
Yeah.
And at first I was like, "Where did you hear that from? Did I ever say something? Because we don't talk like that." And she said, "No, it was this."
But you see, if there you were going into guilt, what if I did wrong?
Yes, because for her, the fact that she was so emotional is different. If she was always like that, she was
Yes.
in pieces. And I never forget her saying, if you we sat down, we had this beautiful conversation, said, if you score 2 on a test or 5 or 8 and you wanted to get 10, when you come home, we can sit down together and research. And in actual fact, you now get 10 because the
Yeah.
development is
But it has to come from the child, that need, because
important.
as you said, do they strive for validation or expectation?
Yeah.
Um, maybe not love, but they've been promised, because there are parents who say, if you get 10 out of 10, you will get a treat. Well, I'm sorry, 10 out of 10 is just a number. It doesn't show your child's value. It doesn't show their worth. It doesn't show their innateness. So academia, yes, they want to be able to read and write. Homeschooling is a way. But we've got to look at, and that's when I do parenting classes, I say, well, what does success mean to you? And a lot of them is, well, I want my child to get the grades so that they can go to university and get a job. And that's all the fear from society. And the actual truth is now you can go to university. There's no guarantee of a job now.
That's
Those
very
days are long
true.
gone.
That's very true.
So if we can home into the child's individual strengths and create environments where they can thrive with those, they can problem solve together, teamwork. Those are skills for life.
And I do know that parents, it just came to mind, like parents do want the best. It is a form of love and protection for parents that when they say that, but we have to be mindful that we can over love with that fear that can
Totally.
destroying our child. And it brings me to a conversation I had with a young man, and he said that he comes from a family of doctors,
Hmm.
wanting to be a doctor. He managed to get into one of the top universities. The parents bought a house. He said he didn't want to do it, and they kept on saying to do it. He felt so guilty. Sadly, he actually had a nervous breakdown. He has never been the same since.
Hmm.
But it was
But
because
that's not
overwhelmed.
uncommon.
Yeah,
And
it's
this is what's happening because they want to, because at the end of the day, they'll always be our children and they want to
they
please.
do. I'm so glad you said that. Well, if we really realize, we listen to our children and we watch, a lot of time you will find your child has this desire to please you. And there's a healthy part of that. I think everything
Yes.
needs balance, but I remember in my own journey, and I had to free
Hmm.
up my children. I was like, oh my gosh, actually, mummy. And I said, no, no, no. You don't have to please me. There's, obviously
Mm.
respect and manners, those things. I am very old school and traditional.
Yes.
It was that
So am I.
yes, I think that's very important. But I think there's this essence of you're no longer being you. You're just being me. I'm
Yes.
the puppeteer, and you're just saying yes to everything I say. So I'm never actually meeting you. I'm just hearing
Yeah.
yes, yes.
I'm just making myself feel better.
Exactly that. So thank you for sharing your essence of how you perceive success. Thank you. So the next question is, if you could rewrite any part of your motherhood journey, what would it be and why?
I would like to have been a mother earlier. Um, I'd have liked to have had another child. I did get pregnant again, but sadly lost it. Because for Alessandro, I think it would have been nice for him to have siblings, and I wanted a family. I did have the, that, don't know if you know the Waltons, that used to be a series on
Yeah, good night, Jack.
that's what I wanted. I wanted to be part
Yeah.
of that family growing up, and they didn't have anything, but they had the love, and to me that was everything. So if I could rewrite it, I wish I'd met my husband earlier. I wish we'd had 2 or 3 children. But maybe it would have been a totally different journey then because I met him at the right time for Alessandro to come along. So I'm not going to rewrite anything because I have what I have and I'm grateful. I'm so grateful and I'm blessed.
I love that. Do you know, I actually love this question because the answer is often, I'm not going to change a single thing. And that's the real intent behind that question, is for us to replay and really understand. That it's fine for someone to answer it, don't get me wrong. But when we replay, we understand that there's a
Yes.
full tapestry to the way everything's been in order for me to be who I am today. So that's beautiful. I really love the way you came to that understanding. How has societal pressures influenced the way that you approach motherhood?
Anna Ford, the baby book, went out the window on day 3. And I went, what stuff and nonsense. I can't do this. And I was screaming in rage because I thought this is how you're meant to do it. Everyone's done it this way, and I'm not doing it, and I can't, and I'm a failure. So I had a big, you're a big failure, a geriatric mother who's a failure. Um, I found the baby whisperer that worked for my baby. Um, but it's that idea that we do to ourselves. Nobody's actually saying it to us, but we're picking it up unconsciously through messages, through social media, that unless it looks, we're failing.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, the mums that, I've got no makeup on, you put the greasy hair up, you get on, you put on your sloppy joes, and you just get going. That's the success. But that doesn't look good on TV. It doesn't make the newspapers, but that is 99.9% what motherhood is like.
That is beautiful you said that, because for some mums, just getting out of bed, that's the first.
Oh, it can be. I've done it.
Yeah,
I'm up and I can prepare breakfast for my son or my
exactly.
daughter. And that is a goal today. Win-win. So if you're getting out of bed every morning, ladies, no matter how tired you are a winner.
Yes, I love that, because some mums have an hour's sleep, half an hour sleep, five
Yes.
hours sleep. You know, I've spoken to different mums from different walks of life. Some have children with special education
Yes.
needs. They
Which you need
have
so much energy for.
absolutely. Some are not sleeping a lot.
Yes.
You know, they've
And
got
after a few weeks of little sleep, you are going to have, so you need to take time for yourself.
exactly. So I'm so glad you said that, because sometimes it's this beautiful, extravagant, and how it looks. I was a hot mess on school runs. It was like, we need to get out of the house. I've got 5 kids
Yes.
to get there, and I looked like a hot mess. It improved along the way, but that's just where I was.
But you know, like how we speak, because um, so I had a lot of repressed anger, but it was resentment inside. So I was the right sulky mare. Um, and I can remember losing it with Alessandro probably about a year and a half ago. Absolutely shouted at him, walked out, "Ah!" And then I came back and I went, Alessandro, I'm sorry I shouted, but I was triggered by something you did, but it was nothing that you did. It was something inside me because it didn't go the way I wanted it. And I didn't take the time and I blurted out, but I'm just saying to you, this is what happened. And you know what he does? It's all right, Mum, you're okay.
Oh, bless
And he
him.
gave me a hug. And
Bless him.
I think we feel so guilty if we lose it. But I'm sorry, it's just an emotion. It's okay. Don't make it right or wrong.
Overwhelm is real. And I think what I really love is having the courage to actually go back and say sorry to your child,
Yes.
to admit fault, you know, to teach them through their experience that it's okay. We all make mistakes sometimes, even mummy. You know, I make a lot of mistakes, and you
But
get
you
to,
know what he taught me there? The fact he said it's all right and gave me a hug. I was so shocked because I was expecting
oh,
rejection.
wow.
And I just went, oh my gosh, that was so
That is
easy.
beautiful. Oh, he really is a blessing, isn't he? That is
Mm.
absolutely beautiful. So, my next question, I can't even read the next question. My next question is, what role has community played in your journey, whether it's been a source of strength or have you struggled to find it?
Um, as I already said about the motherhood when I was early on, but then I had Martin's family. He's one of 8 children.
Wow.
So they were the Waltons. Um,
Yeah.
so I had all his sisters. So although my maternal family were very different, I think I got strength from them and also seeing his family dynamics because he seemed to have a lot of love, not a lot of money growing up, whereas I had a very stable monetary, but I didn't get the love and the attention. So
Oh,
there's good and bad on
yeah.
either side if you're judging. But really, the community I have found is with friends through work. Not all were mothers, like Libby, my bestest friend, and she's like a sister from another mother.
Oh,
She's 14 years younger than me, and her journey, we've just,
yeah, that
soul
explains
sisters.
it.
We want to go, sisters. You've got to find your tribe.
I
And,
love that.
you know, at my age, I'm thinking, well, I'm stopping work to do what I want to do now. How do I find my tribe?
Mm.
And it's scary. It's scary. And I don't want to just be a retired old lady. That's not me.
I don't
Doesn't
think that's
suit
you,
me.
Amanda.
No, it's not my energy. So how do you go out and meet something? So you've just got to get over that discomfort that you might be rejected or not liked, because that runs through us all, and just go for it. And you'll know, your little tendrils will go nee, nee, nee,
Yeah,
nee, nee, when you meet your
exactly.
tribe.
I love that. It's so, so true. Find your tribe. And you've given some really good advice of encouragement for our mums in that just go, regardless of what age you are, what stage of motherhood,
Yeah.
go and find your tribe. That is amazing. Really is amazing. You don't let nothing hold you back. I love that. So, next question is, how do you cope with yeah, we get into it, with the
Uh,
mum guilt and the mum doubts that come along with motherhood?
I didn't manage them at all well. They were my state and my beingness for many years until I finally took responsibility and realized there's a common pattern in my life that I'm not happy with. And I just got to stop pointing the finger out there and turn it around and point it here and just do the work for yourself and value yourself, because once you can do that, it's okay. Now, I'm not all happy brighty all the time. And Martin, my husband, can pick the time. He says, You're going into one spiral. And I go, yeah. He said, I thought we dealt with that shame. I thought we dealt with that guilt. But when you see them not as an identity and just a visiting emotion, it's okay. I'm going to feel shame for 20 minutes. Let yourself feel it and then put it down and get on, because you are not your emotions or your thoughts.
The day I realized that my emotions were merely my internal guidance system, that was the most liberating day. You stop fighting it, you stop denying it, you
Yes.
stop pretending, you just allow it to
And
serve.
stop overanalyzing everything.
Absolutely. And I always like to describe it as a child. You know, you might be on the phone with a girlfriend and the child comes over trying to get your attention and you hand them a phone or you hand them a biscuit and they come back again because they've not given them what they want. They're like, "Give me that for? I didn't ask for biscuits." Still, you sort of pause the phone and say, "I'm on the phone, but what is it? What would you like?" And then
Yes,
we make peace with the fact that they just want, you know, maybe a pen, they something. They'll
absolutely.
go away. They'll
Yeah,
just go away back to being happy. And I think our emotions are like that. If we could just sit with it. I love the fact that you said, just sit with it. Don't
yeah.
don't
But
deny
we don't like sitting with
it.
things we don't like feeling, and
Yeah,
that's what we
we've been
need to
taught not
learn.
to do that. I mean, and also, I think sometimes we're often taught. I love what you said. I'm not happy all the time, and that's okay.
Yeah,
We're not taught that actually it's okay to have a bad day. It's okay not to
yes.
be so good.
As
That
long as you don't make, as somebody said to me, Amanda, you're the type that has a bad hair day and you make it go on a week. And that was a bit of a
yeah,
kick up the
that
bottom.
yeah,
And
that
I thought, oh my God, I am. And that's how I was living my drama, because that's how I got attention. And I just thought, no, that's not me anymore. I'm getting rid of that old identity. Time to change, girl.
yeah. Well, I'm loving it. But I think the essence of what you're describing, what I love, is do the work.
Yes.
As mums, we have to be willing to do the work so we can start unpacking all those unresolved.
And know that it's okay. You
Yeah.
don't have to be perfect.
Oh gosh. Oh gosh. Amanda, you're reminding me of too much. I remember there was one time I was really emotional with my kids, and I remember I was crying, and I said that all that I have for you is my imperfection. My imperfection is my perfection. Because
Yes, I
there's
love that.
sometimes we just want to be perfect. We want to
Mm,
have it all together, you know, the best meals, the best this, the best that.
yes.
It's not like that. Well, not all
No.
the time. And that was the most liberating time. And I remember one of my daughters, Yasmin, second, she's the middle child. I remember she asked me something and I didn't know the answer. She looked, she goes, "You don't know everything." I said, "No, darling, I don't know everything."
No,
She was
you
like,
must tell your children that. And if you do, I was in the classroom yesterday. I said, I don't know that word. I'm going to have to look it up. But do find it out. There are ways, but acknowledge it, because I think our parents didn't like to admit that.
it's very true. Actually, you are very right. We didn't experience all those,
No.
just saw one thing.
Or she'd say, you're too young to know about that.
Yes, you're a
And that
child.
was the
Yes,
cover.
that is it. You're a child. We won't discuss that. And it was just the face of horror, the look of horror on her face of, "You don't know the answer, Mum." I was like, "We could study it together." She was like, "Oh, what do you mean?"
Oh,
And it was so funny. And I'm like, "Yeah, I bleed too." And I get sad. "You get sad?" I said, "I get scared too." And they're like, "You get scared?" It was such a funny moment. And you know, when they're like that kind of like young stage,
yes.
walk away like, what's all this? Like the
Yeah.
bubble's been burst. Like,
Yeah.
oh, woman.
Pop your bubble.
It was so funny. But it was
Oh,
very
well, fun.
liberating, and I think I really love
Yeah.
your, you know, we can take off that superhero cape where we have to know
Super mum.
everything. You
There's
know,
no such thing as a super mum.
yeah, burnout is real, very, very
Yes.
real. So, next question is, what do you wish people understood about the emotional labor that mums carry?
Oh my God, this is why I've done the Mood Munchers, my darling. And talk about a hot mess that needed it most, and you create the thing you need to learn most yourself, because I believe that we take on the identity of an emotion and think it is who we are, and
Mm,
it is not the truth. Mood Munchers, I created 19 characters simply to make them fun, and that you can hold them outside yourself and you can see them and go, don't like this emotion? Well, look, it's cuddly, it's fabulous, it's fun. We can heal all those emotions, change our view on them, because if we don't, what's happening unconsciously, we are projecting it through our beingness to our children, and they're picking it up. So you'll find if you dislike an emotion, your child will, even though you haven't talked about it, even though you haven't done any lessons on it, it's just in your beingness that is speaking volumes. So don't fear emotions, don't judge them as good or bad, right or wrong. Just accept that they're going to come and go like the rain, and the sun will come out again. Everything is fleeting in life. There's nothing permanent. Like the trees in autumn, I love that. You know, they've done all their glory and they say, right, it's time for me to knuckle down now, shed everything away, and then they start again. And every day is an opportunity for us to start again. So if you've had a hot mess day, celebrate it. Yes, because you got through it, girl. And then tomorrow, make peace with yourself. So vomit journaling, as I call it.
vomit journaling. I haven't heard
So
that.
rather than all about work, all about your child to your partner, your best friend on the phone, you just do it on the paper, and you can F it and scribble it and scribble it and get everything out and make peace.
Mm,
And then at the end of the day, just reflect on 3 things that you're grateful for. And it might be just the simple thing that you woke up this morning,
yeah,
that you had food on your table, that you have people to talk to.
that is beautiful. I'm just thinking, for the purpose of the listeners, is it possible for you to introduce us to the 19 mood monsters? Are you able
Oh,
to do
yes. So I started off with Blaze, who's anger, Ray, who's happiness, Blue, who's sadness, and Jitters, who is fear, because those are the 4 base emotions that most emotions come from. And I've created storybooks for them and games and activities for parents. And then from there, through my own journey and also working with children, so children have been my inspiration. I created Rue, who is shame, Gil, who is guilt, then Hope, who is trust, Thrill, who is excitement, Irk, who is disgust. People, kids love him because he's a poo. Angst, who's anxiety, Sobs, who's grief, which is a much deeper level than Blue. Then Pash, who's compassion, because that is not an emotion that we're taught about. And I think it's important that we do. Faith, who's courage, Jel, who's jealousy, Judd, who's that judgment, you know, that voice in your head that never stops up. Well, they're not going to stop for anything. And you just got to tell it, be quiet. I'm not listening to you. You're not in control of me. Then there is Jolt, who is shock and surprise. Then there's Lockie, that's reticent. So, you know, every time you're too worried to speak up because you're worried about judgments of others or you might get it wrong, keeps you safe inside. Then darling love, that's unconditional love, which we're meant to have as mothers. But let's face it, there is a level of that, but then all the others get in the way. Um, and I think that's all of them.
Well done. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. It's really nice.
Oh no, I forgot one, sorry.
You got one? Go ahead.
It's pride and smug kind of turn to arrogant. And pride is actually when you're doing the inner growth, a lot of people get stuck at pride because they don't want to be told, I know that already. And it's until you can break through pride, and it's everywhere. It's everywhere. Then you can go into willingness, courage, and everything else will flow.
Thank you. And it's really, I'm really glad you shared that. So thank you, because I think it's really important for mothers and the listeners, the viewers, to realize that doing the inner work is where
Hmm.
it starts. So thank you.
Nobody can, you don't need fixing, but if you're not happy, look at what your patterns, your behaviors, how you speak, catch yourself.
Yes.
Awareness first, then catch yourself after you do it. Then you'll catch yourself halfway through and think, oh. Zip it is a very good piece of advice, especially with partners.
Yeah.
It's hard to do, I'll be honest. I'm still working on
That's
that one.
some wisdom, yeah. Pause for a bit. Next question is, what legacy do you hope to leave behind for your son?
That if he believes in himself, knows himself to be true, he can accomplish anything he wants in life. It doesn't matter what it looks like to others, as long as he's feeling that connection with his soul and his truth, the world's his oyster.
I love that. That's beautiful. Next question is, how has motherhood transformed your relationships, whether it's with a partner, friendships, or family?
I think the experience of motherhood has been amazing because it's given me a wealth of experience. It's one thing to be a teacher of 30 kids, and I've often had parents saying to me, take them home, you do a better job than me. And it's easy to say that you could be a good teacher because you're not as emotionally involved and you can leave them. It's a bit like being an auntie. You can send them
Yeah, you
back
can
at the end
send
of
them
the
back.
day. You're not doing it 24/7. With my experiences through miscarriage, postnatal depression, anxiety, I'm glad. Wasn't glad at the time. It was really hard, but I'm glad I went through that because I can now empathize with other people. I'm not saying, oh, he said because he said. No, I've experienced this. Now, you might experience it in a totally different way, but I can put myself halfway in your shoes. And it's about being brave enough to communicate this and knowing that whatever your journey looks like, it's been beautiful. And often we are too quick to criticize it rather than acknowledge who we are becoming, because we're still becoming to the day we die.
Yeah, that is beautiful. That is so, so beautiful. And it's so real what you've shared with regards to, at the time, it's not pretty. You don't see that.
Oh,
You're
and
in
it goes on and on and on and on, and you think there's no
it.
end.
But when you look back, you can then see, oh, I can see the gift of what that came to give me. That's
Yeah.
absolutely
I
beautiful.
love who I am for the first time in my life in this last year, and I wouldn't change a thing about me.
Oh, that's incredible. I love that
Yeah,
for you. Well done, Amanda.
thank you.
That is absolutely beautiful. Really, really beautiful. So, my next question is, what's been the most unexpected lesson that you've learned from your son?
He's a bit of an artist, and I really appreciate his hand-drawn Mother's Day. I've got them still up there 3 years in a row. I've still got them on the mantelpiece. The messages he's written, I mean, I just dissolve into tears because with all the trials and tribulations you're going through as a mom, and you're hoping you're doing a good enough job, but he's written, with everything you've gone through, your strength, determination has been such standing for me. Um, we love Walking Dead together, and he did one year, "You're a badass like Lucille Bat." And he drew me Michonne on the front cover, and I went, "That's me, girl." But I thought when I was in anxiety for 2 years, I had screwed him up because he was 13, 14. He was old enough to understand it. But he could hold my hand through that time. But then when you get over it, you think, have I damaged my child mentally and emotionally? And that was a big fear for me. But his message, that just rang through, and he was meant to experience all that through me to know that he can rise to anything.
Oh, oh, that's so beautiful. That's so nice. Oh, that,
I
that is
do love him.
really, really nice. Oh gosh. Um, yeah. If you could change one thing about how society views or supports mothers, what would it be?
Give us a break.
Yeah, just
In a little catchphrase, like a Kit Kat. Um, Motherhood comes in all shapes, sizes. All our children are unique and special and different. So how can society say this mold fits all?
Mm.
It's a crock of quite frankly. Motherhood is who you are. It's as simple as that.
Yeah,
As I said right at the beginning, stop comparing, stop reading the books, stop looking at all these fabulous air-touched pictures, and just honor who you are and your journey. And for anybody listening out there in the marketing thing, let's be real. Let's talk about the underside of motherhood, the late nights, the guilt, the shame, the uncertainty, and make us feel that it's okay to feel these things.
that is beautiful. Just give us a break. I love that. Well said. Really well said.
Mm.
Thank you for that, Amanda. Next question is what's the most misunderstood part of motherhood, the motherhood journey?
I don't think there's just one part.
Which part should I go to? I got lots to pick from.
I think pregnancy, everyone says you're meant to be blooming, and that doesn't always happen. I think different stages, so you've got early childhood from 0 to 4 to 5. That's a journey in itself, and it can look different because babies are all different and how they sleep and their patterns. Then when they're at, primary school, they're learning. That is the time to really connect with your children. That is the time to be the disciplinarian, be the listening ear, be the no, that's not going to happen. And it doesn't matter if they don't like you because they will never stop loving you, even though they say they hate you. Because if you've done all that by the age of 12, when you hit teenagehood, which is an experience all of its own, then you have taught them enough that they can weather the storms. But I do believe our teenagers need us more than our toddlers do. And that doesn't get a fair press.
It's really true, actually. That's when they need their parents close.
Yeah.
They really do. They go through a rough time.
They've got physical changes, they have emotional changes, they have so much peer pressure, then they have social media pressure. And I'm going to be really honest, I would hate to be a teenager in today's society because I think I'd have cracked. The child that I was would crack
It's
because this was
interesting you
too
said,
much, too
yeah,
much.
it's a lot, it's overload. I was at the RSA today actually for a meeting and I had this exact conversation.
Yes.
We used to have that separation. School was school and the home was
Yes.
home. And now, they've got social media follows them all the way. They don't have
Yes.
a break.
They don't have a minute just to chill and also just to be bored.
Yes.
They have such a limited
Different society.
tolerance of the boredom, and
Very, very
actually
different.
let your child be bored, even
Yeah.
if they
No,
kick
we,
up.
we we had magazines and TV, but we never had this kind of this is what we need
Constant
to
from the
look at.
moment they wake up.
Yes, and I definitely did never experience that as a teenager, I should be able to make 1 million. My friends is like abseiling, snowboarding, set up this company. And I love entrepreneurship for young people. I think there's some creativity, life skills that they can learn. But I think it's the nuance as to
But
how
that's going to get into the entrepreneurship. If you're not doing that, you're a failure.
yes, and that's the bit I don't like. I don't like
No.
the fact that young
There's the comparison thing again.
I
It's
don't
everywhere.
it's very hurtful. And I think when we're thinking about preparing young people, like this is kind of the area I work in, when
Mhm.
they're going for interviews, they're not just showing up at an interview and saying, they kind of, this is their CV. They're expected to have this avalanche of
Yes.
what they've done. And poor things, they're just
When's the time to have done that?
yeah,
Because another thing, being a primary teacher, and I know parents have to work and I get that, but they're given homework from school. and then they're going to swimming club, ballet club, gymnastic club. When are children allowed to just be children, not in front of the TV, but just out in the garden playing
Oh,
with a
bless you.
box and a stick and
Oh,
a
yeah.
spoon and go?
Yeah. And funny enough, so many children love boxes. If you get a great big delivery, they throw
They
the
don't
delivery
want what's
aside. They want the
inside the
box.
box at Christmas. They want the 6 boxes because that's where the creativity comes. We
Exactly.
are stifling that in our children.
Yeah, my youngest still gets excited about, oh, well, can I cut this up? And we need to preserve that as long as possible. But I
Totally.
love what you're saying. It's a different time that we're raising our children, and we have to be mindful of
And
that.
you've got to educate yourself in that. I mean, I know my son loves gaming and his social, he's not a great going out. You know, they say you're trying to get to stay home. No, I'm trying to get my son out of the house. He's a right home bird. And I've tried his games, I get vertigo and I'm not interested. But then I've realized in the last year I've got to get interested. So next week's half term, and he
Lovely.
said to me, "Will you play The Last of Us?"
Oh, bless
And I went, "Yeah."
him.
I said, "Will I be able to play?" And he went, "Yeah, I'll do it on the really easy level." And I said, "Cool, then I'll do it."
Oh,
Yes.
that is pure love. They love that. The minute you say I'm going to game with you, I still jump on there with. I'm not very good anymore, but I jump on and have a little fun with them, and they love it.
Yeah.
They light up. They're beaming because
Because that's their interest.
exactly.
And I know it's very different from what I grew up with, but that's the world today.
So lovely. You're going to do that in half term. That is lovely. Really, really nice.
Wish me luck.
But for him, it's always the memories that we keep is how you made them feel, and that's all that's important. You don't
You
have
see,
to.
that's with me with holidays, and I've done it. And I said, because this is memory, and that's why I'm taking
That's
pictures,
all it
because
is. That's
you
all it.
can't take your money with you, only the experiences, and they
Absolutely.
are gold.
Absolutely. So yeah, go ahead, mum. Get in there for the mums. Right. So, how has motherhood changed your perspective on yourself, your goals, and life in general?
I think a mother was who I was born to be. And I know I wanted that, but how it turned out wasn't the image I had. And yet it's made me become self-reflective. It's made me step out of the box. It's made me go against society values. And it's made me open up and share to help others, other mums, because I'm not the only one. But there's such an image that it should be easy and that just because you're a woman, it should come naturally. And it doesn't. These things are learned and it takes patience. Oh, patience. I've learned patience through motherhood.
Mm.
Um,
If you don't have it, mother will give it to you. Believe me,
oh,
mother will
totally.
humble you.
Yes, or let you experience a lot of other emotions until you accept it. Um, that's been more my journey. Um, but when you're fulfilled, whatever you do, then you know you're enough. Then life flows. You see the beauty in the world rather than jumping on that awful bandwagon of negativity, of judging, and it's not me, why me, not, you know, why them, not me. That's just all a story you created, and you can choose to let it go.
Hmm.
But we're very attached on it. In fact, we're so like that's attached. We're going, what mask? What mask? Can't see it. Don't know what you're talking about. It because other people can see who we are before we can see ourselves. And that's sad. Whereas we should teach children to look in the mirror and say, I'm beautiful, I'm wonderful. That's what I would have loved to have done with Alessandro. Because I've watched movies. I think it was The Help where the woman was, the maid was with the little girl going, you is pretty, you is
Yeah,
smart, you is, and I went, yeah, why didn't my mum say that to me? And her mum wasn't even doing it to her. But that maid, that she was that mother for that child, in my opinion.
absolutely. Yeah, that was evident.
So whether you're a sister, an aunt, we are mothers. because we mother our friends. It is natural, it's
Oh,
biological. And if you're a female, you're a mother.
that's beautiful. That's really nice. Just hearing those words as well. Yeah, it's so true.
Mm.
But that affirmation, like just to hear that as young as possible.
From a young age, because then it goes in. What you're told as a young
Exactly.
age, you hold on to.
Exactly. It's beautiful visual. Next question is, what did you sacrifice in order to become a mum?
Hmm. I don't know if I sacrificed anything. I mean, I had to have an operation just to make sure everything downstairs was working because I had never got pregnant. Um, so no, I haven't sacrificed anything. Probably my sanity in moments. And I was worried about my mental health for a while, but do you know what? That too will pass. So I'm honored. There's been no sacrifice. I've been lucky to have a supportive husband. I don't know if I'd have been so fabulous if being on my own.
Mm.
And I think that was because I remember saying to my mum I wanted to be a mother. She said, well, you can be a mother. I said, don't be ridiculous. Do you know I'm working at school? Do you know how hard it is? It is not, you don't just have a baby. Because I knew in myself, and I was right, because look what happened when I had Alessandro, that I didn't have this. I did somewhere deep down, but didn't have it. And that has matured in me. You mature as a mother. And I think there's nothing wrong with maturity because maturity is wisdom. And you become wise from making mistakes, from falling flat down on your face with embarrassment. And then you just go, oopsie, up we go again.
Exactly that. That's exactly what it is. Who were you before you became a mum?
A controlling fixer, desperate to be liked. Um, it's like the image I've got. Like if you look at bumper cars and driving, if they were on lanes, and you say, what lane are you in? I'd say, what lane? I don't have a lane because I was driving in your lane because I didn't have a life. My sense of worth and being came from what you needed from me, how I could help you, because my core belief that I was useless unless I was doing something for others. And a statement that I had a real problem accepting was, thank you, but what you think of me is none of my business. The first time I heard that, I was, effing hell. Of course it's my business, because if you don't like me, if you don't think of me, I'm nothing. And that's, after a few months, it hit me, oh my God, I don't have an opinion about myself if it's not given to me by other people. And that was shocking. And that was at the beginning of my let's go for a deep dive inside. And I can say it now. And in fact, I was in the classroom yesterday and I said, and I did a role play because the behavior was quite unique. And I said, oh, we're doing this. And I said to one child, right, I want you, whispered in his ears, just badmouth me, backlash, everything you want, whatever. And I just sat there with a smile on my face. Well, first of all, I did it responding to him. This is what we do as mothers. And it just ended up at the fight. And I said to the class, what do you think? That was terrible. It just went on and on and on. And then I did it with a smile on my face, just smiling, taking no notice, then turned around and thank you for your opinion. What you think of me is none of my business. And he was just like, what? What? Because if you allow the opinions of anybody to become your code, you're never gonna reach happiness.
Mm,
And that's my biggest lesson.
I love that. That
Let
is true.
go, let go.
I love how real and authentic you're being about that as a journey because I think there is a piece to unpack. We do the inner work,
Mhm.
changes everything, the way we show
And
up.
we're scared to unpack it. That was my biggest fear. Because I thought if I unpacked it, there'd be nothing left and then I'd disintegrate.
Well, that's actually really profound when you think about it because who am I without that old mask? And that's scary for some.
Totally.
Who am I without this idea, this belief? This,
Fall back on.
yeah, exactly.
It's
So
always
that's scary.
been there.
That is scary because that's all you've ever known.
Yeah, totally.
Thank you, Amanda. Next one is, what is the gift of motherhood? What's been the gift for you?
I thought there was a song by Beyonce. Which one is it? What You Leave Behind. I'm forgetting the name of it.
Hmm.
I can't think of it at the moment, but the gift is my son. Not that I've given him, but what he will imprint on the world. Because everything that I am, he's picked up the message of, or a feeling or a state of it, and he's embedded it, plus his own. This is why each generation becomes more and more and more. So the gift, greatest joy is motherhood, and the greatest gift I've given is Alessandro.
I love that. I really love the way you've turned that. I have not heard it said like that. It's really beautiful. The gift is packed in Alexander. That's really nice. I love that. That is really beautiful because he's parts of you and his dad and everything.
Yeah,
And that's the gift to the world. I love that. That's a really beautiful way of putting it.
thank you.
So we've got some light-hearted questions here just to lighten up the mood a little bit.
We are light and fluffy.
So the first one is, if your son was to write a book about
Oh
you,
God.
what title would he give? It's so funny. Oh God.
Would it be something like my mother, the woman that shouldn't dance in public, the woman that shouldn't be allowed out?
Oh, do we embarrass them? Yeah, that sounds about.
Totally, and I do it on purpose. Um, but the inner strength that keeps on going.
Oh, I love that.
And I'm just getting that from what he gave to me in
In those
the
words and
cards.
halves. That's really nice. That's beautiful. Nice little tagline. What's the funniest mum fail moment that you've experienced? You're so funny.
Okay, we got a place in Italy and we got bikes. And Alessandro and Martin, I'm sorry, I have driven their bikes and they're much easier than my one on the bags and the candles. But anyway, I can't keep up with them and I'm quite happy. You go on ahead. That's fine. I'm just taking my time. I'm loving the scenery. But we went through this path and I ended up in the bush because I just couldn't control it. And Alice said, "Whoa, what do you like? What do you like?" And I said, "I'm sorry. Can you help me up? I can't get up now because I'm not as young as I used to be. But at least I got on the bike." I know, because this year they're going, and Mars says, "Will you come on a bike ride with us?" I went, "Nah." I said, "I will take myself 3 miles down on the beach and I'll do my stuff. You go on your 25-mile bike ride and you bond with your son, darling."
Oh, that's a oh, you are good with your words, Mama. Love that. Go and have a bonding moment with your son. Oh, that is brilliant. That's a funny one. Really funny. Thanks for sharing that. Oh, my next
I
question is,
told you, motherhood isn't pretty.
it's so true.
Oh, actually, one better than that.
Go ahead.
We went to Thailand at Christmas because I wanted him to experience the Far East.
Yes.
And I booked quad biking because I thought it sounded fun. So through the jungle. So I get on it and I'm getting the pink one. I don't like pink, but anyway. And I'm fine on the road. And then we turn off the dirt track and there's a stitch that I didn't see. And all I know is I'm down there. Alessandra's 10 bikes behind me and they all see this thing go down and it doesn't come up. And I had to have two men pick off the quad bike off me. And then I said, "I'm sorry, I got bad hips. I've had the replacement this year, so I'm much better.
Oh,
Can you
God.
help me up to my feet?" And Alessandra went, "Was that you? Was that?" I said, "Can I go on your bike?" He went, "You're not getting on my bike. Go on Dad's."
Mate.
So, and I would, if I had that time again, I wouldn't do it.
No. Oh, that is funny.
And the size of the bruise on my backside,
Oh
whoa.
no. Oh, oh, some beautiful memories there. Oh gosh, you've changed
Uh,
for a lifetime. That is funny. What's your go-to hideout place when you need a break?
the bath with a book, because that's readily available. I am much more of a bath person, or what I love is the sea. Don't know if that's because I'm a water sign, but to me, heaven is just lying in the sea, not with great lots of people, and just making your own oasis of that moment, that space. It's just to die for. Yeah, I'm at home in water.
I can hear you've just changed the tone as you talk about it. Beautiful. What's been the strangest thing that you've ever found in your son's backpack or pockets? Maybe when he's little.
Well, it's not quite strange because it's just they never empty the damn things, do they? It's the crumbs, it's the yuck, and then his charcoal, because he was doing art for GCSE.
Oh,
So the charcoal was all over the inside of the bag, all over everything. I literally had to wash every pencil, everything he owned, and it was thick, thick, thick. Because, yeah, well, it just happened, Mum. And I said, well, why didn't you clear it? I shouldn't have cleared it up, thinking about it now, but I did because I knew he'd never do it.
I've been there, done that.
Yeah.
Definitely. So, next question I have here is, if our community of listeners could support you in 3 transformative ways, what would you ask for?
I would ask everybody to embark on the deep journey of transforming their wounded inner child and their rebel who likes to be right, because I believe every adult has got stuck emotionally between the ages of 5 to 14, men and women. And that's with the Mood Munchers. If you can use them, because although they're for children, it's the parents that need it most. Because children as young as 5 who've used them have turned around to their parents and said, Mum, Blaze is visiting. You need to take a breath now. So when I've taught the kids, they are so au fait with it, and they don't have any judgment because they love Blaze because he's a fiery little character. And that's why I say our children can teach us so much, but embrace the Mood Munchers. Watch out on moodmunchers.co.uk. There are storybooks, there's a parent's book, I have activities, there are these soft plushies that are just to die for that you can actually talk to. So take yourself off into a room if you don't like anger or if you don't like sadness, talk to Blue, talk it out, and use the vomit journaling and discover who you truly are because you haven't met her yet.
So powerful. Do you have 2 more things you can ask? So introduce them to your mood monsters. 2 more.
I would like them to
Inspire?
open up and step into bravery and get out there, speak their own stories because they have got to be heard, and to create communities. I think I know I am so much better when I've been surrounded with women. As Martin says, you just light up. And there's not enough communities for women, I feel. That's what I would really, really love. And it's really connection. Connection with your passion, whatever your flavour is. I'm tutti frutti. And not everybody's going to like your flavour, and that's okay. But live into your flavour. And do it, if you don't want to do it for yourself, do it for your children because they deserve it.
That is beautiful. And as much as I love what you shared, you're not asking for anything for you. These have to be answers for you. Is there an interview you would like to do? Is there any shows, magazines?
Oh my gosh.
Anyone you want
For
to
a big
partner
thing,
with?
I would love to be on this morning to share the Mood Munchers and my journey. That would be so powerful. For me, I would like, if you're a parent and you're influential, whether it's the PTA in the schools, talk about the Mood Munchers, show them the website, visit my website, also follow me on LinkedIn, Amanda Hill Ryall, and just I do posts 5 times a week, and it's all related to about the emotional well-beingness of us all. Just I would love you to share the message that we are not our thoughts or our emotions. We're allowed to be a hot mess, but until we accept that all emotions are neither good or bad, right or wrong, nothing will change. So come on, girls, let's change this, get it into every school, every library, and yeah, let's shine.
Beautiful. Love that. Next question is, what's one way that you plan to pay it forward as a result of this conversation?
Well, I have actually got on the 21st of June at Northfields Library, I'm doing a story morning, which is great. When I'm going into supply schools at the moment, because I've given up my full-time employment as of Easter. So I'm getting into different schools. So it's trying to connect there, see what their need is, and see what I can offer. And then to get into boroughs and school trusts, that's where I would really love to go. And then get it so it gets into a wider audience because it works.
Yeah, beautiful, Amanda. Next question is, how do you hope sharing your story on this podcast will impact others?
I hope that people realize that it's not just them, because we do think you don't understand, you don't know what I've been through. The trouble is we're not communicating what we've been through shame or embarrassment. And actually, if you actually talk authentically, you realize she's gone through it too. She's gone through it too. She's gone through it too. And I do believe that every human in the world has got the belief of or fear of rejection and an abandonment, whatever level it might be. So we're all the same. We're not that odd. And in fact, we're not that special to think it's only me.
Very, very true. What would you like to say to your husband that you haven't perhaps said to him yet, but now as a result of this conversation, might be something you'd like to say to him? Words of appreciation, encouragement?
I have said it to him, but not enough. But one, thank you for believing and loving me and never giving up on me when I gave up on myself at times. Two, I'm sorry I haven't been as strong as a parent with Alessandro as you are with the discipline. And three, because Alessandro's getting to an age where he will embark, and there is a part of me that's dreading that, because then I think that's my motherhood journey over, and it's not really, but
No,
it will still be empty nest. But three, let's have a common goal now for the next 40 years where we can come together and grow.
cute. What are you proud of yourself for?
Not giving up. My resilience and my sense of humor. And my energy when it's up par. When I'm not living in my head, I'm fabulous. Fortunately, I left a lot of my life in my head, thinking that was reality. Um, yeah, I'm proud of my journey. You know, you think every soul's come here to fulfill. Martin said, God, you kept saying, what's your purpose? What's your purpose? What's your purpose? And I think we have this as women. We've got to find a purpose. And I thought it was motherhood. And then when I only had the one, I thought, well, it's not that, but it is teaching. But my purpose has actually been what life has thrown in that I didn't want.
Yeah.
You know, the depression, all that stuff. Because, and they say that about me, I'm tenacious and I don't give up. And it might take me a long time. And I don't know if it's my rebel telling me, don't you tell me to give up. I will get up again.
I can see that. I can definitely see that in you. What do you want to say sorry to yourself for, Amanda?
Sorry for being such a hard mare on myself and for believing everything Mum told me in her mad moments. Um, sorry if I think I came here to be love, and I didn't show any love to myself at all. I went looking for it from outside of myself, and then when I was given it, I rejected it, and that was a repeating pattern. So I'm sorry, Amanda, that you didn't love the gorgeous young girl you were, and you rejected her for 45 years.
It's beautiful. So although you've said sorry, what do you need to forgive yourself for?
Not being perfect, not being what others wanted me to be, and forgive myself for shaming myself, for living in the guilt, for living in the emotionality and the positionality rather than being who I truly am.
Thank you for sharing.
You're
What do you have to
welcome.
say thank you to yourself for, Amanda?
Thank you for being that sensitive, gorgeous person with an open, loving heart. And also sorry that I saw that as a weakness for so long when it is actually my greatest strength that I overlooked.
Wow. And for my final question, what are you willing to let go of and heal from as a result of today's conversation?
I've got to get over my fear that the Mood Munchers isn't going to get out there because I'm too scared to show up with it or fail or be rejected.
And you're going to get rid of that now and let go of that.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Shake it off.
Shake it off. Oh, Amanda, like it has been an absolute pleasure to be.
You've been a delight to talk with.
You've been making me laugh. I couldn't even read my questions.
But that's the secret. Life should be fun. We've just forgot with how serious we've taken ourselves.
Yeah, it's been an absolute pleasure being here with you. I want to thank you for joining me in this space and for being so open. You've
No,
taken
you're welcome.
time.
If I can help anybody out there, no, you're not alone.
I love that. And get your mood monsters out there. We're gonna have a chat. Definitely have a chat. So, listeners, let's turn words into action. If you've been moved by today's story, think about how you can offer some support, no matter how big or small, whether it's through a message of kindness, shared resources, or connecting with our guest. Let's build a community that uplifts and empowers each other. Thank you for tuning in to the Unheard Cries of a Mother. Your stories matter, and together we can create ripple effects of understanding, support, and transformation. If today's conversation resonates with you, please like, comment, subscribe, and share this episode with someone who needs to hear it. Remember, as mothers, we are stronger together. And until next time, let's uplift each other and turn unheard cries into powerful voices. Amanda, once again, thank you. Thank you, listeners, for tuning in. Until next time.
My absolute delight and pleasure. Thank you.